ESPN の人気ポッドキャスト、ベースボールとナイトに NBA レジェンドのチャールズ、バークリーが出演し、大谷翔平選手について衝撃的な発言をしました。バークリーは、過去30年間のスポーツ界で、大谷はマイケル・ジョーダン、タイガー、ウッズ、ウェイン、グレツキーと並ぶ存在だと断言。さらに、もし定期的にピッチングできれば、食物連鎖の頂点に立つ、と最高級の賛辞を送りました。NBA で16年間プレーし MVP も受賞したバークリーが、かつてジョーダンに向けられた、世界で最もうまい男、という称号を大谷に与えた瞬間です。ここからは、その様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
15 years in the NBA, and you see him on inside the NBA. But what we've come to learn about you, Charles, is that you are a big sports fan. The other day, I saw you right after the U.S. had won the gold medal in the Olympics. You guys come on air, and there you are in a USA jersey. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me because you're that big of a sports fan.
Yeah, Buster, man, I love sports. And people ask me why I love sports. I says, well, if it wasn't for sports, all we would have is reality. And I don't mean that. I mean, like, when you're not watching sports, enjoying sports, you have to deal with the crap we call life. And life is hard. And I always want the players to always realize how lucky we are to do something stupid like play a sport. But we bring so much joy to people who are out here who got everyday problems, who have to go to work every day. I mean, like I say, we're not teachers, we're not firemen, we're not policemen, we're not somebody in the armed service. We're overpaid to play a stupid sport. And man, it just takes you away from reality. I'll never take that for granted. I'm not saying this to be humble or whatever. Man, I feel like we are the luckiest dudes in the world. I mean, think about it, Buster. Excuse me, let me stop that. They make so much money. Because the most money I made was $5 million. And I thought that was a lot, and it was a lot. But can you imagine some of these guys making $20, $30, $40, $50 million to throw a baseball, hit a baseball, run a football, or dunk? I mean, if you don't realize how lucky you are, but the benefit of that, we get to bring, man, I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning to watch hockey last Sunday, and it was worth all of it. I mean, I'm like, because we had work the night before, and me and Ernie like, what time you getting up tomorrow? I'm like, I'm getting up at 8. He said, me too. And then we get to work Sunday afternoon. We're like, that was worth it. Like last year, I mean, obviously I'm caught up in the moment, but that's in the conversation of the greatest World Series ever. I mean, it was game 5, 6, and 7 were tremendous. But like, if you didn't, and I was pulling for Toronto. I want to make that clear. That's my favorite city in the world. But man, just to sit there and watch those guys do their things, and you got a whole country rooting for Toronto. But you got to like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and those guys.
Yeah, 100%. I want to ask you about that. I mean, you mentioned the World Series last year. What do you remember about your reaction when Miguel Rojas ties the game in the top of the 9th inning? You know, 36-year-old backup infielder, the moment of his life, right? Hitting that home run to tie the World Series. But you were rooting for the Blue Jays. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I was devastated, to be honest with you. Because you go back, they probably should have won game 6 and 7. But it's such a fine line. You know, the ball gets stuck under the outfield. I mean, Rojas getting a hit at the most improbable moment, but that's the beauty of sports. I mean, like, that guy, he's set for life. He's never going to have to pay for another drink in LA. He's like, man, I forget the quarterback, Nick Foles. Nick Foles is never going to have to buy a drink in Philly, especially if I say him out, because I'm a big Eagles fan. But, man, that's the beauty of sports. I mean, think about this. We just removed Sam Darnold, who everybody's been trashing for the last 5 years. Like, if that doesn't make you feel good, it's something wrong with you as a fan. I mean, that kid, I talked about it. I said, you know, they've been trashing this kid for 3 or 4 or 5 years. He sucks. Then he had a great year. Then he stumbled last year in the playoffs in the last 2 games. And then they're like, well, he's going to choke again in the playoffs. And him ended up winning the Super Bowl was incredible.
Yeah, it really was. And you're speaking, Sam, I'm a huge Vikings fan. I have been my whole life. And so to see him have success after everything he's been through, it was really cool. So I'm going to tap into your sports fandom and asking you this question. Where would you put Shohei Ohtani if you were to list the all-time the 3 best athletes in sports history? Who would be your top 3 athletes in sports history?
Well, I don't know if you can have 3. Number one, let's get that out the way. But when you talk about in the conversation, you know what's amazing about Ohtani, Buster, to be honest with you? If he could actually pitch on the regular, he'd move to the top of the food chain. If he was, obviously he's had the 2 surgeries and he's still doing pretty good. But if he was able to pitch and hit like he hits, he'd probably be on top of the food chain. But, you talk about Tiger, you talk about Michael, you talk about Wayne Gretzky, Shohei's in that conversation. I don't discuss the Babe Ruth and Wilt Chamberlain because I never saw those guys play. So I think I'd be disingenuous. But if you go back I can say the last 30 years, you talk about Ohtani's in there with Michael and Tiger and Wayne Gretzky. Like George Will, he wrote a great article about Michael Jordan. It was back in the 80s and 90s. He says, that guy might be better at what he does than anybody else is better at what they do in the entire world. Because, if you're a scientist, there are a lot of great scientists. If you're a great doctor, there's a lot of great doctors. He says, Michael Jordan is better at what he does than anybody else. And I think you can honestly say that about Shohei right now. He's the best baseball player in the world. And that's such an amazing, that is such an amazing thing to say about somebody. There's a million I shouldn't say a million. There's a lot of great players. But to be better at what you do than anybody in the world is pretty a great accomplishment, man, because all the guys, there's a lot of great players. There are a lot of guys that are working hard. But when people say, oh, yeah, he's the best at what he do, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's how.
今回の番組で最も衝撃的だったのは、NBA レジェンドのチャールズ・バークリーが大谷翔平選手を、マイケル、ジョーダン、タイガー、ウッズ、ウェイン・グレツキーと同列に並べたことです。バークリーは NBA で16年間プレーし、1993年には MVP を受賞した男。彼が引用したジョージ・ウィルの名言。その人物は、自分がやっていることにおいて、世界中の誰よりもうまいは、もともとジョーダンに向けられた最高の賛辞でした。科学者にも、医者にも多くの優秀な人材がいる中で、自分の分野で世界一、と言い切れる存在。それがジョーダンであり、今や大谷翔平にも当てはまるとバークリーは断言しました。さらに注目すべきは、もし定期的に投げられたら、食物連鎖の頂点に立つ、という発言です。大谷選手は2度のトミー、ジョン手術を経てもなお、打者としては OPS900 兆を維持し、50から50という前人未到の記録を打ち立てました。投手としても復帰すれば、その支配力は計り知れません。バスケットボールのレジェンドが野球選手を史上最高のアスリートの一人と認めた。これはスポーツの枠を超えた歴史的な評価です。皆さんは、バークリーの大谷は冗談と同格、という意見に賛成ですか？ぜひコメント欄でご意見をお聞かせください。動画を最後までご覧いただき、ありがとうございます。NBA レジェンド、バークリーの大谷翔平派史上を TOP3 アスリートという評価、皆さんはどう感じましたか？ジョーダン、タイガーと並ぶ存在だという意見に賛成ですか？ぜひコメント欄で教えてください。高評価とチャンネル登録もよろしくお願いします。それでは、また次回の動画でお会いしましょう。